Geotrig, lesson 10, day 4. We are finally going to finish this up. We got one example left, and then your homework will be a worksheet that deals with just the completing the square stuff. And so, today we're going to deal with ones that a is not equal to 1. As you can see, a is an 8 today. Now, this particular example actually starts off, or it is nice, because I think if you look at all of them, they're all divisible by 8. Okay, again, I contrived this problem to be a little bit nicer. It's not always going to be that way, but we are going to solve this particular problem. Rule number 1 from yesterday was not so. Separate first, then we'll make it a equal 1. So, to separate first, you do what? Add 56 to both sides. So I get 8a squared minus 16a equals what? 64. Now, hopefully you're asking yourself a really big question right now. To me. And the question is, Mr. Konchak, how come you didn't put spaces on this one? Last time we did this step, you put 64, that equal sign, a little bit over, and you put plus something, and then on the other side, plus something. And I told you yesterday I did that was because, why? I looked ahead at the rules, and what was the next rule? A equal 1. I looked ahead and said, hey look, a is already 1, I can get to the next step. This one, a is not 1, so now I have to make a equal 1. And the only way I can guarantee that the 8 will become a 1 if I divide both sides by 8. Now remember, when you're dividing both sides, you are actually dividing everything. And what's 8a squared divided by 8? It's a squared minus 16 divided by 8? 2a plus something. Hey, I'm bringing that back. And 64 divided by 8? Plus something. And now we actually move on to step 3, which is the completing the square, which says I do what?
Square the b. No.
No, not square the b.
Half the b.
Half of the b, then square it. So what is half of negative 2?
1.
No, it's not.
Negative 1.
I'm going to change colors for us here. It is negative 1, and I'll square it. Now remember, there was a reason I left it as negative 1 squared on the left. But when I go to the right, it becomes 1 because negative 1 squared is 1. Not that bad, right? I did that because the next step in this is to factor the one side, simplify the other. I can definitely say that most of us, if not all of us, would know that 8 plus 1 is equal to 9. We should not be questioning that at this level. Now, what I also said was the reason I left it as negative 1 squared is because that negative 1 is the thing that just ends up going to the parentheses, right? Inside the perfect square binomial. So it becomes a minus 1 squared. And now you just solve it, guys. Where do I solve it? How do I do that? Square root. Don't forget. Plus or minus. The square and the square root will definitely cancel each other. So it's a minus 1 is equal to plus or minus 3. And then the last step was kind of important. I add 1 to both sides to get a by itself. But that 1 needs to be placed where? In the front. It goes in the front because it helps me establish that I don't lose my plus or minus. I agree, it's going to be added to 3, or 3 is going to be subtracted from it. But you have to have it set up correctly so you can use it correctly. So one of them, because these are nice numbers, that's nice. I like that. And so I have to separate. If they're nice, I will separate. If they're not nice, I will not separate. I'll leave it as 1 plus or minus the square root of something. 1 plus 3?
It's 4.
4. 1 minus 3?
-2.
So, now, guys, here's the cool thing. I solved an equation. I found answers. If I am that much unsure of what I just did, what should you do? How about take your answers and check them? If I put in 4 for A, will the left-hand side and the right-hand side both equal each other?
They should.
They should. If I put in -2, will the same thing happen? It should. Completing the square, just like quadratic formula, always works. Factoring doesn't always work. Factoring, actually, I could have factored this problem. It would have worked because it's nice numbers. But if it ends in a square root, excuse me,
Bless you.
then I would have a problem. Okay, so I went back to this problem. Now, I don't remember exactly the answer of this one, but I'm assuming it's not going to be nice. That's why we actually went back to A being what? 1. It's an A equal 1 problem. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to solve p squared plus 5p minus 33 equals -9 using complete the square. Guys, if I don't say use complete the square, you can use any method you would like. You can factor it if you can. You can use the quadratic formula. You could graph it and solve it, which I really would highly suggest not doing. But you got a couple different ways that you can do this. So this particular problem, the first step again is what? Add 33 to get what?
21. No, 24.
Again, look at this. I went right to adding something to both sides, yes?
Yes.
Because the next step is to add something to both sides. If you don't add it to both sides, you're going to have a problem. Okay? Then they're not equal anymore. Half of 5. Ooh. It's 2.5. And I don't like 2.5. I'm going to leave it as 5/2. Because think about this, guys. We talked about this yesterday. Really, I'm just multiplying by half, and that would make it 5/2. So yes, I'm going to change colors so we can see it. This would end up being 5/2 squared. Plus, it makes it a lot easier. I mean, if I look at 2.5 and I say I got to square it, what's 2.5 squared? Some people are going right for their calculators. Versus, can you square a fraction without a calculator? How do you square 5/2? Square the top, square the bottom. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, so would I have to eventually get common denominators? Yes. Is that really that big of a deal? No. Okay, so we did this. I have to simplify the right side. That means, yes, common denominator. But the left doesn't change. What's the left-hand side going to show? It's going to be P
Squared. No. P plus 5/2.
5/2
Squared.
squared.
Nice.
Guys, it doesn't matter. The thing that's in the thing here, that number goes here with its sign. Now I do have to get a common denominator between 24/1 and 25/4. Common denominator there is a 4, so I multiply top by 4, bottom of 4, it's not 76.
Something 6.
It's a something 6,
It's 86.
it's 96. So, guys, that'd be 96/4 plus 25/4. which happens to be
Something 1.
woo 121. Hey guys, you should like 121 over
Oh, it's
4.
a perfect square.
It is a perfect
So
square.
it's 11.
Yeah, not just 11.
11 over 2.
It will be, yes, because the next step says square root. Don't forget plus and minus. The left side, they cancel each other out that way. So I get p plus 5 over 2 equals plus or minus 11 over 2. Hey, the cool thing about this one, I've already got common denominators. That's going to be cool. Because the next step is subtract 5 over 2.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, do not put those two numbers together just yet. So you get p equals, put it out front. Those two answers. Guys, even this I consider to be nice. Because they're fractions added to fractions or subtracted from fractions. That's okay. It's a rational number. So I have to split it. I have to split it to a negative 5 over 2 plus 11 over 2. Negative 5 over 2 minus 11 over 2. Sorry, that is 11. Not a weird looking n. What's a negative 5 plus 11?
Negative 6.
Not negative 6. It's
No, it's positive.
6 over 2, which is
It's 3.
3. What is a negative 5 minus 11?
Negative 16 or 8 and positive 8.
Negative 8. Hey guys, guess what? That equation was factorable as well. The whole goal here, guys, is just to give you a technique, another thing for your toolbox that works for all quadratics. When I ask you guys to solve by completing the square, again, you have to use complete the square. If I ask you just to solve it, you use whatever tool is at your disposal to get it done. Except for the internet, obviously. So, that is all I have for lesson 10. What we're going to do, though, is we will work on completing the square today. Going back to everything we did yesterday and today. And then, tomorrow, I will have another worksheet for the first half of lesson 10, which was rationalizing denominators, and I do believe it was something with lines. Is it lines or slope?
Yeah.
So, that's what we're going to do. So, otherwise, I can go here and say, homework is worksheet lesson 10. Have a great day.